The Apple Network Server, ANS, was a line of PowerPC-based server computers designed, manufactured and sold by Apple Computer Incorporated from February 1996 to April 1997. It was codenamed Shiner and originally consisted of two models, the Network Server 500-132, Shiner LA, i.e., low-end, and the Network Server 700-150, Shiner HE, i.e., high-end, which got a companion model, the Network Server 700-200, also Shiner HE, with a faster CPU in November 1996. The machines were not a part of the Apple Macintosh line of computers. They were designed to run IBM's X operating system, and their ROM specifically prevented booting the classic Mac OS. This makes them the last non-Macintosh desktop computers made by Apple to date. The 500-132, 700-150, and 97 sold in the U.S. market for $11,000, $15,000 and $19,000, respectively. Apple Network servers are not to be confused with the Apple Workgroup servers and the Macintosh servers, which were Macintosh workstations that shipped with server software and used Mac OS, the sole exception, the Workgroup Server 95, a Quadra 950 with an added SCSI controller that shipped with a UX was also capable of running Mac OS. Apple did not have comparable server hardware in their product lineup again until the introduction of the Xserve in 2002. The product's short lifespan is attributed to significant financial troubles at Apple in early 1997. CEO Gil Amelio canceled both Network Server and OpenDoc in the same meeting as it was determined that they were low priorities. 1. The Apple Network Server's hardware was supposed to be based on a new logic board designed specific to the product. During the development of the hardware, Apple abandoned the original mainboard design for unconfirmed reasons. In order to move forward and ship the product, Apple made modifications to the Power Macintosh 9500 logic board and ROM, locking out all Mac OS calls, and ported X to the new hardware. Whether related to the hardware change or by coincidence, Apple also abandoned its NetWare on PowerPC development, codename Wormhole, at this time. The general logic board layout seems to suggest a close relationship with PowerPC-based RS/6000 systems by IBM, which also were designed to run X. On the other hand, many logic board components, especially the open firmware boot ROM, are similar to the Tsunami board used in the Power Macintosh 9500 and some Macintosh clones. While the circuit board layout of the Apple Network Server, ANS, may resemble RS/6000 systems, logically and physically it is almost identical to a Power Macintosh 9500, PM 9500, although running quite different firmware, and which is specific to its unique mission function. Starting at the top-level bus and working downward in the bus hierarchy, at the top level is the CPU bus with a hammerhead controller, Apple part number 343S1190, which is also found on the PM 9500. The CPU, as mentioned, is a PowerPC 604 or 604E. The CPU bus to PCI bus bridges are Bandit controllers, 343S0020. Both the ANS and the PM 9500 have two Bandit controllers and two separate PCI buses. All devices at the CPU bus level are identical between the ANS and PM 9500. On both systems the CPU bus clock is supplied by the removable CPU card. However, on the ANS the clock buffer which splits the system clock for all the CPU bus devices is on the logic board, whereas on the Power Mac 9500 the clock buffer is on the CPU card. The memory data lane controllers are different on the ANS from the ones on the PM 9500, presumably because of added support for parity memory. The ANS memory data lane controllers are 343S1161 instead of 343S1141 as on the PM 9500. However, the memory structure is the same with two banks of DIMM slots and support for memory interleaving when corresponding slots in different banks contain identical memory DIMMs. The ANS does have 8 memory DIMM slots instead of the PM 9500's 12, but other hammerhead-based machines such as the PM 8500 also carry only 8 memory DIMM slots. On the PCI bus, as mentioned above, the ANS uses the Bandit PCI bridge, just as the PM 9500 does. The PCI bus arbiters are also identical, 343S0182. The bus arbiters receive the PCI bus request signals and issue the bus grant signals to the PCI slots and to the PCI bridge chips, Bandit. The interrupt manager and logic board I/O controller is also the same. Both use Grand Central 343S1125. Grand Central is a device on the PCI bus. At the PCI bus, ANS parts ways with the PM9500 in a few ways. The ANS has two 53C825A SCSI chips with support for fast and wide SCSI operations, which are not present in the PM9500. These each appear as a separate PCI device on the PCI bus. The ANS also adds a Cirrus Logic 54M30 video controller as an additional PCI device. In all, the ANS has 3 PCI devices which the PM9500 lacks. The ANS's PCI slots are also organized differently. On the PM9500, Grand Central and the first 3 PCI slots are supported by Bandit 1. The remaining 3 PCI slots are supported by Bandit 2. On the ANS, Grand Central, the two 53C825A SCSI chips, the 54M30 video controller and the upper 2 PCI slots are supported by Bandit 1. The remaining 4 PCI slots are supported by Bandit 2. Some may find it interesting that this, 6 devices supported by Bandit 1, confirms that the Bandit PCI bridge and associated arbiter chip can directly, no PCI bridge required, support at least 6 PCI devices given proper firmware support.